does that compare to 17, the same period? I mean,
I have to go back and look at it.
that's all we need to be looking at to see
Yeah.
on a percentage
Right.
I
basis.
think we did, I wanna say 500 and some last year, but I'm not sure, I would have to look it up.
Susie's Fund, 6 recipients of Susie's Fund in the month of November, totaling $5,177. Leaves us with a balance of $101,829 left in Susie's Fund. There was a couple more that were in there, but we can get them processed in time for November, so they'll show up in December. And question, this isn't the prettiest diagram ever in the world. I'm gonna state that, but it's better than me taking a picture of a dry erase board, us drawing this. So the big question is, how do the animals flow through the system? And this is, I was hoping, I had a team in Fayetteville today training, and it's a team that's working on developing the flow chart for this. So, but I wanted to make sure that we shared something in this meeting, and I'm not good in creating flow charts, so this is the best that I could do in creating this. So ideally, that's my dust, and I'm sticking to it. So if you, yeah, I'll give it to you, and you can just go to town. I have another diagram that was given to me earlier today too. But, so the idea, or I guess there's questions on how we decide how animals move through the system. Every week we have a leadership team meeting that we discuss the animal inventory. We talk about length of stay, we talk about health, we talk about behavior, we talk about the stray hold, and then we develop plans on how those animals are going to flow through. What we have not done a good job as a management team is trickling that information back down to the rest of the staff for them to understand how our decisions are being made. And I think that's creating some confusion, because we're basically just saying, move one dog here, move the other dog there, with no rhyme or reason. And that is what's creating some of the frustration from staff. So we management, need to do a better job on communicating that to the staff, so everyone's on the same page on how animals are flowing and why they're flowing in a certain direction, or they're on a certain pathway and not on a path, another one. So this is just stray, but just to give you an idea, if it's a healthy stray hold is up and everything happens, when he gets to adoptions, then there's another flow chart that happens when they're on the adoption floor. So this is just our first attempt to try to put on paper what we talk about weekly, and trying to get the staff, just bringing the staff up to date on how our decisions are being made and why they're being made a certain way and why an animal's moving a certain direction. I can go through the diagram, but we'll be here for a while, but.
So basically, let's just stick to the healthy side for a moment. On the healthy side, a dog comes in, there's an evaluation that's done, that every dog is purposely moved through the system, each step of the way up to the final decision as to whether it's adoptable or not, for various reasons.
Right, whether it's healthy or not healthy.
And so if I went back and looked at any dog, now I'll use dog, but yeah, whatever we call it, dog, there were deliberate decisions made, but because a dog can appear one way, perhaps to someone that's moving it through, but it could not portray what the real character of that particular move is and why it's being made. And that's where some of the discussion comes up, when staff doesn't understand, well, this dog seems perfectly fine, why is this dog not over here as opposed to over here, when in fact you work through a process and had to make certain decisions based on behavior patterns or other things that wouldn't be apparent necessarily. Right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That is correct.
You
And
can
then,
draw
but
wrong
that,
conclusions if you don't understand how the process works.
yeah, but that also translates to our volunteers, that also translates to just the general community of, why is this one dog here and not this other dog?
And if I ask you, why is this dog here, I'll say you, just because I'm looking at you, but one of your managers could say, yes, and we
Yes,
did
this
this
is-
because we did this.
Yes, we're supposed to be able to have that answer. And if we don't have the entire team on the same page with why one animal, you know, if that animal's stray whole period, you know, he's been there 72 hours or he's been there 5 days, why is that animal still there? We need to know exactly why the animal's there. Everyone needs to know why that animal's there, and we're not there. So this, trying to put it on paper, well, we will put it on paper, will help keep everyone on the same page on why an animal's moving a certain direction or not. Questions?
I'm trying to think of, I'm sorry, go ahead, well, I think my thought through. I was trying to think of a way that you could, like on the actual animal's cage, how you'd be able to tell the volunteer like where they are. So for example, I'm waiting on another evaluation, like I'm waiting on a behavioral evaluation before I'm able to move to whatever, because that may, because his volunteers may come up and say, well, why is this animal here? And then you get bombarded with questions after question after question. But having like some type of key card or like a dry erase type situation to say, oh, I'm waiting on my 72-hour stray hold, or I'm waiting on my behavioral evaluation. That way it's clear to anybody walking through there, like, oh, they're moving their way up, they're at this stage in this flow chart.
Yeah.
And they can go to a posted flow chart, like, oh, they're gonna go here next, or it's more work in my head. But I'm just trying to figure out how you could, it could be,
Visually.
yeah.
Sorry, okay. So I had a question. Elaine's here, right? Yeah. So, a couple weeks ago, as you know, Elaine, and Daryl asked me if I would spend a little bit of time back in intake, helping, like, look at all the cats that come in as marked feral, like, they come in with the red cards, temporary, like, just to see, like, if I could do anything to help socialize them. And so I do, I spend some time back there now, and of course, now that I'm back there, I see, you know, all the cats that are back there. And, I'm friends with all the vet techs, and so, you know, sometimes, I'll say like, oh my gosh, this cat will get adopted in 5 minutes if you were, you know, up in adoption. And, like, I understand from them if there's like this thing called a workup list, and they'll say, yeah, the workup list is really long, and I get that, because these people are working like nonstop. They never see these people kind of sitting down and taking a break. There's always a lot of work to do, and I get that. So kind of like the last thing I want to do is stand there and say, you know, tap my foot, like, get to this one now. But I didn't know, and it's not my place to suggest, but it seems like a logical thing. Like, could that workup list, whoever's on the workup list, I'm assuming has passed, like, you know, the basic, like, they passed their whole time and they've been deemed, like, as ready, you know, as good for adoption. Could that just be sorted by date? As long as, and because what I've noticed is that sometimes, and it may just be because they're sitting in the wrong corner of intake and don't get seen as much, like, they'll be there for a while, and other ones that have come in more recently get moved up, and there's no difference between them in terms of adoptability or like being approved for adoption or anything like that. So I didn't know whether that's something that's.
But ones that come in later get sent up to adoption, and then ones that have been there a while just stay, and they sort of get passed over when others are getting moved through, and ones that have been there for a while are still there. So, I mean, is there a way to?
Yeah,
do
there's a
them in
way to fix,
order?
there's a way to fix that, so we can pull a daily report based on date, right? So, and that's the way we should be moving the animals, is based on date, unless there's something else physically
Absolutely.
that is holding that animal back.
Yeah.
But we need to make that known
Yeah.
on why that animal's going back. So I like your idea about the visual cues, because if you're back there, you'll know what's happening with that specific, so then we're not asking the techs, and the techs then are running to try to find out to get you an answer. So there's things that we can definitely do, and that we've been having these conversations for a while. It's just, we need to bring everyone along. And we have not done a good job, I have not done a good job, making sure that everyone's on the same page.
And do we want to discuss here tonight, like what you and I were talking about yesterday about like maybe people going back there, or leave that off the topic for now, like visitors?
That's your,
Okay,
Sure,
so one thing that Jorge and I talked about, and I think it should work, is like, why not, like, for instance, I'll give you for instance, yesterday there was somebody at the shelter who was looking for a Maine Coon cat. There was none in adoption, because the adoption, I mean, there have been a good amount of adoptions lately, especially around Thanksgiving, so the adoption rate was actually relatively empty now. There's this huge, gorgeous Maine Coon cat back in intake that's past the stray hole. So, oh, could I take this person back there to see that cat? And as long as, you know, nothing else is wrong, like, is that cat a potential match for this person? So I talked to Jorge about, like, maybe we can think about doing something like that, so the cat, or any animal, not just, but I speak about cats, Carl speaks about so their potential for finding a good home soon is not necessarily limited by which room they are in at the shelter.
And so if we were to have the capability to do that, and the reason that the cat or dog is still in intake is maybe they haven't had all their shots, or they haven't had certain tests, or they haven't had their microchip or whatever, and the people come down and they say, oh, I love this Maine Coon cat, I wanna take this cat home, but the cat needs more tests and stuff, then what?
Yeah, we wouldn't make the cat available until he's ready to be placed
So
for
then the
adoption.
person would just be told, yes, you can adopt this cat, but not yet. It has to wait until it
Not
has
necessarily.
shots.
So there's more to it than just taking people down.
Right,
Right.
right, that's what
First-
I'm asking.
Is human power. You know, 425 animals in an animal shelter, and you only have 2 people working the front desk. You have no staff taking care of cats, and you have 2 paid staff members taking care of dogs. Who takes that person down? Volunteer?
I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
How often are you there?
So it could be, candlelight tours with cats and intake on Saturdays and Sundays.
All right, so are we just doing it Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 6?
Potentially, if I would be the one doing it, yeah, if something,
Okay.
something I could
So-
schedule regularly.
Human power is the first thing, right? Because we can't just let people general public just go down there. So, and then there would have to be a list given to whoever the individual is escorting folks down there for those animals to be identified as available for adoption. That's where it also gets tricky, because we don't have enough space to be able to isolate the ones that are available for adoption, but we don't have space on top to move them. So there'll be stray animals with available animals, and then someone falls in love with an animal that's still on stray hold, but then they want them, but then gets claimed by their owner, and then we get into that situation. So there's a lot of logistics that have to go into play than just going down there, but you would know which ones are available, and then we say, hey, this one is available, this one's available, this one's available, so you would have a list, you go down there, and you would know what cage each animal that's available for adoption would be located. So it's possible, it can be done, we just need to make sure that we're doing it the right way, where we're not creating more work for staff.
You can make it like a movie type thing, like coming soon to an adoption floor near you, and have a whole book just filled with cats that are going to be available for adoption the next week. That way you don't have to take them back there.
That's harder than you think it is.
Oh, yeah, I
We
know.
can't even get, you know, and it's hard enough just to
Oh,
get pictures of
sure.
the ones that are in the adoption room. So,
Going,
yeah,
yes,
that's-
my concern is similar to Jorge's of if someone comes and claims a cat that was theirs and someone's like, I love my Maine Coon.
Well, but that happens in adoption anyway. I mean, oh, we fell in love with the cat, but it's already
Right.
adopted. I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
People get over it. People get over it.
Yeah, but we're not talking about going down and, you know, adopting cats that aren't, well, I mean, maybe aren't ready, but that they're just a step away. You know, like, they just need this test, or they need to be dewormed, or they need a
Because we would,
microchip.
the idea would be if we're taking folks down there for adoption, because we don't have any space above, is that the cat has to be available for adoption that instant, to get adopted.
Okay,
He may not be altered, and then
Mhm.
moves into surgery to get the surgery, and then he goes on the following day. But for us to move folks down there, for them, like, hey, they're interested in this one, can we run all these tests? That would not work, that would create more work
Right,
on
right,
staff. It doesn't solve this problem we're talking about, why
Right.
is this one ready and this one isn't?
but
Okay,
then,
well then-
but Andrea's idea of putting a sign on the cage, and it could be something as simple as colored tiles. You know, green means this one is ready to be moved up to the adoption floor, red means this one needs whatever, you know.
Yeah, that's why we have our reports, we can pull the reports,
Right,
that tells
right,
us
right.
the same thing.
But there would be a way maybe that if we brought somebody down there, we could look at that instead of having to stop a vet tech and say, hey, Andrew, what's the deal with this cat? So we would have that information, there'd be a way for us to know that before we,
Yes, that would
Yes,
be the idea to
that's
make
the-
things
okay.
easy.